Hey guys, have you played Helldivers 2? If you did in the past, you're not playing it now. Ooh, the line goes down, the player count goes down, the tweets about the game goes down. I don't even see people like making stupid memes about like the super Earth or like democracy or like trying to say that like this was like the spiritual successor to the 1997 film Starship Troopers, which was not based on a book, according to these uneducated swine. Like again, Helldivers 2 is the second worst thing to happen to gaming history. The first being Palworld, but like Helldivers 2 is a close second because it really is a good example of just how the PlayStation audience will latch onto any generic, uninspired thing that's thrown their way, right? They really got it into their heads that Helldivers 2 was some based and red pilled, like anti woke game that like they deserve to play and support, and they really bought into it for a while there. They really spent a lot of time trying to sell you on this idea that like they're constantly putting out new content for the game. The game is a lot of fun. It's original. It's intense. They do all this thing like, oh, it's a completely new idea that's never been done before. Like they tried all these tricks to get you to play the game, and what happens? Like the game completely collapses. I do think it's safe to say that like the controversy in regards to like the PSN sign-in thing is just a smokescreen as to, like what the actual issue was, is that this game had no longevity to it. They failed to introduce new content. They failed to keep people coming back, right? There were issues with like the progression system and the gameplay in general. May I remind you that not only are people still playing Splatoon 3, they're also still playing Splatoon 2. You're getting mogged by a 2017 Switch release. Like how do you fall off so hard? And this is what it comes down to. This is the problem that like every PlayStation game is having, is that they come out, they get a lot of hype, they get a lot of praise, they get a lot of worship from their YouTube audience, right? They'll try to tell you that like this is the best game of the year. I know it's March, but like this is the best game of the year for sure. Like they'll sit there and try to tell you that it's one of the best games ever made, and then they'll drop it after like 2 weeks, right? That was the typical pattern of the Helldiver fan base, is that they would go on, play for a couple play for a week or so, like, oh, this is the best game ever, I'll never get tired of it, and then they just fell off. They got bored. They moved on to the next shiny thing to leave Helldivers completely forgotten, to the point where, like, I honestly don't know if it's going to be remembered by, like, next year. Like, I really think if, like, we were in 2025 now, that, like, nobody remembered this existed, right? Who do you see, like, now talk about, like, Forspoken, right? Who do you see talk about like Final Fantasy 16, right? Like Street Fighter 6, like Tekken 8, like again, Palworld, right? Again, like all of these games, these meme games are introduced, they're hyped up, they're worshipped by the sort of memesters that consume any product that gets thrown in front of their face. Like uh this happens over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? The product gets hyped up, people buy it, and then it immediately gets forgotten about because it simply isn't good enough to leave much of an impression. Like again, I predict this would happen. I said it was going to happen. I called it. I was completely right. Helldivers 2 is a complete and utter failure. And everyone on YouTube who tried pushing this as the new shiny thing should be ashamed of what they did.